welcome to another edition of A Little Perspective. This is the self-care month. Last year, I was able to do an in-person self-care, day of self-care, and we had a panelist of different types of people because self-care is mind, body, and soul. It is not just what you eat or how much you exercise. And so this year, we obviously couldn't meet in person, so we are doing it via A Little Perspective. And today I have Dr. Valerie Lenox and Miss Shelbi Lewis joining us. Dr. Val Lenox is going to be talking to us about the value of essential oils. I'm a huge, huge proponent of essential oils and what they can do for you. Natural healing is ideal when able to do so. And Ms. Shelbi Lewis is going to be talking to us about the value of therapy, of mental health care. And another thing that I definitely strongly believe in, being able to speak to someone professionally about anything that you're going through or have gone through and being able to heal from that. So thank you all for being here with us today. Dr. Lenox, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I'm an internist. I've been on the coast since 1991, and probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I got interested in essential oils. I have always been interested in natural uh, support, supplements and exercise, vitamins, food, all that. And I had a personal experience with having a migraine at an LSU football game, and my roommate from med school had some lavender oil and put it right here, and it was gone, and I didn't have to leave the game. And so I was like, wow. And believe me, I was rolling my eyes when she did that. I was like, yeah, right, this is gonna work. And so I just started doing some research, and then I started using them, and um, that's a big tool in my tool chest.
That's excellent. And I think it means a lot coming from you as an internist, and being able to say firsthand how it works for you and then how you've seen it work for so many others. I'm like you, I was a skeptic at the beginning, but once you start to use it and you see the results, you're like, oh, okay, this is actually a real thing. So, Miss Shelbi Lewis, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, and I just want to say thank you for inviting me and allowing me to speak on your platform. And Dr. Lennox, I want to say thank you. I also believe in essential oils and use them in my practice when I'm working with clients, and I can definitely see the progress over time by using them. So even though I'm not a medical doctor, I do not I cannot recommend them, but I just tell them how they could be beneficial. Well, my name is Shelbi Lewis, and I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Mississippi. I have been a therapist now for 4 years, but I have about 7 years of experience in the mental health field. I have background in substance abuse, domestic and sexual assault, working with those survivors of that, working with adolescents and adults who suffer from self-esteem issues, depression, anxiety, grief, working with families in multiple aspects. So I'm excited to be here and talk to you guys about how mental health has helped me and helped many others, and how it can help you as well.
Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative of you being here, both of you. So, Dr. Lenox, why don't you start with telling us a little bit about what essential oils even are?
Okay, so that, yes, because a lot of people have never heard of them at all. So what they are is they are obtained from all different parts of the plant. Berries, roots, the peel of citrus fruits, and usually they're either obtained by steam distillation or cold press. And basically, what you end up with is the essence of the oil. So it is the part of the oil of the plant that protects the plant from things in the environment. And so then we can use that to help protect us, help our bodies to naturally heal. They actually, there's things called receptors on the cell, and they actually get into your bloodstream and then bind with those receptors on the cell and open it up a channel, and then they're able to get inside the cell. So it's truly working from a root cause of the problem. And there's, hundreds of them, but the brand that I use is doTERRA, and the reason I use that particular brand is because of all the testing that they do, and because of the way that they source their plants. Because if you want to use it therapeutically, you have to be able to depend on getting the same result every single time. So if you go to Walmart or Bed Bath and Beyond or somewhere like that, and you're paying $7 for a bottle of frankincense, there's probably very little, if any, frankincense in it. So is that enough, or you need more? I could go on for an hour.
No, that's perfect. I think it's a very good point that you brought up, that if you go and buy a cheaper version, really you're just buying fragrance. You're not buying the true oil. And with that in mind, you're not actually getting the benefits that you're supposed to get from the oils when you use them.
Yeah.
So who would be an ideal user of essential oils?
Oh, I think everybody's got something that they need or want to work on, whether it be emotional, physical. They're great tools if you're doing meditation. As Shelbi already said, they're great tools to aid in, addressing some anxiety issues and mental health issues. Aromatherapy has been around for a really long time, and people have used it, to help with those sorts of things. And there's a lot of evidence for things like PTSD, that if you're starting to get triggered, you smell the good smell, and then eventually you're able to learn to just divert your brain so you don't go into that PTSD spiral. So pretty much anybody, kids, babies, I mean, everybody can benefit from them.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty much everyone has the need or use for essential oils. And I love that you brought up that it's been done forever. Like this, we are not the ones to just discover this. This far precedes us. And so I feel like that's another factor in why we should use them, because it worked for our ancestors. So we should definitely see what we can do to implement them into our everyday lives, for sure. So what are the different ways that people can use the oils, Val?
So there are 3 basic ways. The first is aromatically. Of course, you can just smell it out of the bottle. You can put a little drop in your hand and rub them together and cup, and really get it into your olfactory system. And diffusers are another good way that people use it aromatically. And then topically is the next way. So you can apply it to, if you're having an area of concern. I have a whole regimen for my face every day, an anti-aging regimen. And then the last way is to ingest. And that you cannot do with just any. You want to make sure that it's a pure oil. And so you can put it in water. You just have to put it in either a glass or a metal container, not plastic. You can cook with them. You can put drops under your tongue. So there's, a whole myriad of ways. And the beautiful thing about it is that it doesn't matter which way you decide to use it. If you have a preference for one or the other, that's fine. Because once it gets into your bloodstream, it goes to every cell in your body. So whatever way you prefer. I'm a big topical user, although I do drink some. Like right now, I have some in my water, but I just like the ritual of applying it to your body. So, and of course, I diffuse 24/7, basically. So those are the 3 ways.
And so with the different ways, there are some oils that you're not supposed to consume. Well, you definitely want to, if you are consuming them, make sure that they're top notch, because again, if you're buying it from the drugstore, what have you, you're not consuming pure oils, and you do not want to do that. But there are some oils that you can't consume and stuff. So having someone that that is educated in that is great. And I have Romy and you, and so that's been an amazing resource for me. So you spoke a little bit about doTERRA and why you chose that. And I think it's good to kind of reinforce why the prices are different. And you did talk about that a little bit, but do you want to talk about that a little bit more? Because it's so easy to jump on Amazon and buy something as opposed to going through someone. There's a lot of like dislike for multi-level marketing stuff and
Yes.
things like that. And I'm not a fan of it either in general, but I think that there are a few things out there that are still of value, despite that doesn't indicate that they are a scam or what have you. It just is simply the way that the business model is set up. And so do you want to talk a little bit to that?
Sure. So that was another reason that I was a little bit skeptical, because I was kind of anti-MLM. Of course, I didn't really understand how it worked either. And basically, if you are a user of the doTERRA oils, you can kind of do that three ways. You can just be a member, and then you don't have to worry about selling it or signing anybody up, or none of the, you don't have to build a team. And it's a minimal fee, $35 a year. Or if you buy a kit, it comes free. And then you can just order your oils for wholesale whenever and however you want. And you don't have to have a monthly order. A lot of people do have monthly orders because you get rewards for doing that. And then you can kind of be a sharer, which, Romy just, she wants her friends, and she's so excited because she feels so much better and her family is doing so much better that she wants to introduce her friends to it. And so, she may sign up as a business person just so that she'll get, a little bit of rewards here and there, but she's not doing it full time or anything like that. And then somebody like me who actually devotes time to that, on a regular basis. And of course, it's like anything else, as much time and care and effort as I put into it is what I get out of it,
Yeah.
but the reason that the prices are maybe a little bit more expensive with the oils like this is because, number one, they're pure. Number two, and these are some of the other things that I love about this company, they're very fair to their growers, and and they pay them a fair wage, which, once you learn stuff about the essential oil industry, it's a terrible, I mean, people are treated terribly. And a lot of the places that these plants grow are kind of third world countries. And so if you're going to pay people a fair price for their labor and their harvest, then you need to charge, enough to make it worthwhile for you to do that. So that is one reason that that it's maybe a little bit pricier than you would think. But the good thing is a little bottle that just 10 milliliters has 280 drops. And these oils are so powerful and pure. One drop is basically a dose. And so even if you're using something every single day, that's going to take you a good long time to use that bottle. So when you look at it per drop, it's literally, cents to
Yeah.
use that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question good enough?
Yeah, that's excellent. I think the fair wages is a really great point that a lot of people don't know or don't think about. One of the local gym shops that I shop at, Himalayan Exchange, they are very conscientious about where they get their stuff from, because it's the same thing. It's the same kind of field where it's a lot of like third world countries, or just countries with very loose labor laws where they don't necessarily get paid very well. They don't get treated very well. The working conditions aren't good. And so that's a huge factor, on top of the value of the actual oils themselves, obviously. When we want to, it's that old do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You definitely don't want, it's easy to take the cheap route, but to what gain? So no, that answers my questions perfectly. Thank you so much. Miss Lewis, So, this is the theme this month is self-care. And so often, especially women, we tend to put our mental self-care on the back burner, which usually does not end well. And so, why don't you tell us a little bit about what self-care is to you?
So self-care to me is kind of what you mentioned in the beginning. It's mind, body, and soul. Um, and I wanted to kind of piggyback off your comment. A lot of times women, we do put it on the back burner, but I don't necessarily know if it's intentional.
Mm.
I think we've been so trained and accustomed to just keep going, no
Mm.
matter how tired we are, especially as mothers, students, wives, mother, any kind of role or hat that we play. We've just been accustomed to if I just do a little bit more, I keep going.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we don't listen to our bodies. So I'd say that self care is listening to what your body needs at that moment. And it's something that should be practiced weekly, if not daily. So
Mhm.
if your body is saying, take a nap, take a nap. If you just feel tired, if it's saying to you, I want to feel pretty, so I'm going to put on my favorite lipstick and curl my hair a certain way and put on my favorite flowy dress, then do that. If it's eating
Mhm.
your favorite meal, regardless of your health regimen at that time, do that. If it's saying, okay, I really had a hard day and this chocolate bar will make me feel better,
Mhm.
do that. It's whatever your body is saying that you need at that moment to get you to replenish, to get you back to who you are. So that's what I think self-care is. And I think that if we adopt that attitude, like, I'm going to do this so that I can get back to feeling whole and who I am, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think I agree with all that you said. And last year, everything was it was stressful for all of us. And my anxiety it just went through the roof. And giving myself permission to take a nap, you know, that was a game changer. But man, it was hard, which sounds
Mhm.
ridiculous. But, you know, it because we feel like we have to prove something, or we just have to keep going, and naps are for lazy people or whatever. That alone has made a huge difference for me, and sleep is so important to your body. I mean, I'm sure Dr. Lennox can definitely can attain to that. So Shelby, tell us a little bit about how you decided to become a counselor. It's a heavy job, and it's not just for anyone. You have to be a really good fit to be able to take on that role. So what made you decide that that was the path you wanted to take?
Long story short, because it's a long story, I was a junior in high school and I was headstrong going to be an engineer. I was taking AP physics and I was doing all of these different things to become a scientist. Well, I had a cousin who committed a murder and was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And I had no idea what that was. And I grew up with this cousin. He's not much older than me. He, you know, had his way in trouble, but his parents sent him down to Mississippi. So my mom's originally from Michigan, and all of her family's in Michigan. So his mom sent him down to Mississippi to, get some Southern training, as they say. And so he spent summers with us and everything. And so for him to go back and do that, it didn't seem like the cousin that I knew.
Mm.
And so from then on, I started wanting to take psychology. And I said, I'm going to major in psychology and criminal justice. And that's what I did. And oh, did the naysayers come? The naysayers came big. Oh, you won't make money in that field. You're so smart for that. You great in science. You're great in math. You need to be a scientist. You need to be a doctor. You need to be these things. But that's not where my heart was. And I'm very quiet, but I'm very headstrong. So I go with the naysayers don't really bother me.
Mhm.
So I went against it. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology and and a minor in criminal justice. And then from then on, I started working in the community. I did AmeriCorps. I volunteered at the Boys and Girls Club. I did Big Brother, Big Sister. I did a lot of things, and I just knew that's where I wanted to be. I knew from research, the money wasn't going to be great. But I knew that that's where God had for me to be, for me to change lives. So I graduated in 2014 with my bachelor's. I started working as a case manager and in-home services, where I worked with kids who were recently discharged from mental health hospitals, and they were too at risk to return to regular, what we call regular population. So they received their therapy in home. I get a lot of pats on my back because people normally don't stay 6 months. I did it for 3 years. So I did that, and I knew that's where I was meant to be. I saw so many kids progress through that. So I went and got my master's degree in counseling. Did that for 2 years, became a therapist, substance abuse, and I just been going ever since. So it just kind of started where I didn't really know where I wanted to be, but I knew that God had a purpose and a plan for me. And I'm obedient when it comes to God when he speaks.
That's awesome. The engineer, from engineer to counselor, that is a definitely night and day for sure. Sure. Yeah. And, so often it's easy to get caught up in where the money is, but if it's not what you're destined to do, then you won't find your satisfaction there, and the money won't make you happy. So I'm so glad that you followed your heart. That's incredible. So who would you say is an ideal candidate for counseling, for therapy?
Every single human being walking this earth. I always tell my clients when they come into my office that I'm a therapist that goes to therapy. And they always like, what? I'm like, yep, I go to therapy every week, every 2 weeks if I can't afford it, because I know it's expensive. So but I'm there. I meet with who I need to meet with, and I keep going. And so I think everybody is. I think we all need this person who is objective to our family, who can give us a different perspective on life. And so I think that there's a counselor out there for everybody. And I always tell clients when they're looking for a counselor or a clinician to ask questions, just like if you were going on a job interview, just like when you were going for an apartment or a car. This person is going to be all up in your business, like all up in it. And so you need to make sure this person is trustworthy. What experience do they have? Do they have experience with working with what you are experiencing? Because truth be told, there are some clients that I've had to say, you know what? I have no idea. I've never worked with a client like you, but let me do my research and let me send you to someone else who is experienced, because I'm going to do more harm to that person by trying to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. And I have no idea. Like, for example, eating disorders. I have no idea how to work with clients with eating disorders. True enough, that comes with depression and self-esteem. But if the true issue at hand is they're over or under eating, I have no experience in that. So I have to refer them out. It's something that I'm interested in learning, but at this moment, I just don't.
That's excellent. I'm the same way with my coaching. If we're not a good fit, because that matters too, we have to kind of vibe, or else, we're not going to be able to, because again, it's personal. But also if they have an eating disorder, or if they're, have other things that are outside of my wheelhouse, then I'd rather them find somebody that can really truly help them. So I love to hear you say that. That's so important, especially in the mental health field, for sure. So what are some hesitations that people may have with getting counseling? I mean, I know that we've come a long way in normalizing mental health care, but it's still like you mentioned, somewhat unaffordable. So that's obviously one of them. But what are some other hesitations that people may have when it comes to seeking counseling or therapy, and what would your response to them be?
My number one thing that I hear is they don't want to feel judged. They want someone who will just listen to them and not judge their situation. So when what I say to clients again is ask that therapist questions that you need to ask for you to feel comfortable, and then give it a try. I also tell them that it's not an easy thing to do. You know, it's not gonna be just a walk in the park. Therapy gets down, dirty, nasty, and just rigid. I mean, it gets down to the bottom because it exposes parts of ourselves. It makes us be vulnerable to the point where we don't want to be vulnerable. And personal experience, you know, I started actually going to therapy after my dad passed away. And I was like, I'm a therapist. I do this for a living. There's nothing that this lady can tell me that I don't already know. And I just knew I was going to go in there and fool her. And I mean, I sat on that couch and I cried and I was vulnerable more than I needed. And it was so relieving because I had not shared that with anybody, no family, no friend, no significant other. So those are the things that I tell them, that come in, be vulnerable, be ready to get down and dirty. And if you're having hesitations, it's okay, because a lot of times that therapist is probably having a lot of hesitations too about whether or not that they can help you. So if I just tell people, anybody struggling with any negative thoughts, or even sometimes just feeling kind of like stuck, just talk to a therapist because they're trained to help you. We're here to help you. And just make sure you vibe with, just like any other relationship.
Yeah, that's excellent. Dr. Val, what, so say somebody's interested in essential oils, what are the kind of like foundational oils that people could start with and what do they do?
So we have kind of like a top 12. And most of those are in our enrollment kits because they're our like Swiss Army knife oils. They have multiple uses. And so it's kind of like a good bang for your buck. But frankincense is a big one, of course. And Melaleuca, oregano, on guard, which is a protective blend. It's got a mixture of several different things, and it helps to kind of protect you against environmental threats or little bugs that are out there in the air. And breathe, which is like a respiratory blend, helps with anything respiratory. Digestin, which is for digestive issues. Lemon, and let's see, and deep blue, which is for pain and musculoskeletal issues. I might have forgotten one, but basically those, if you get one of the, those core oils, you can begin to address at least 80% of all the common complaints of life. Sleep, stress, pain, all the things, stomach issues, breathing issues, the stuff we all struggle with. And then you can get, fancier and add extra things on as you go, and you learn more about it.
Yeah, and have a whole drawer full, like some people.
Or a closet.
So the deep blue, I have the lotion, and I love it. It is so good. It's like Bengay but better for people who don't know what it is. And Romy showed me the capsules, and I was confused because the deep blue lotion is topical and like Bengay or what have you, and so when you put it on you feel the relief. So explain to me, and this is really just a me question, nobody else probably cares about this, but it's my show so I can ask it.
Yes.
Explain to me how the deep blue capsules work compared to the lotion.
So the lotion has got the deep blue blend in it, which is, a blend of essential oils. But the supplement actually doesn't have any of the, you can't ingest deep blue blend. Okay. Yeah. It's not one of the ones that's ingestible. So they just named it deep blue because it's one of our supplements that concentrates on inflammation and musculoskeletal pain. So it was like it went along with those, so they named it deep blue. And that brings me to, you know, we have some really incredible supplements, and they're actually our biggest seller. We sell more supplements than oils, which is I found crazy, but and they're very good for like preventive, you know, to help you just stay healthy. Because if
Mhm.
you're already healthy, that's great. But you know, a lot of times we take that for granted, and we don't do things to maintain it. And I'm
Mhm.
guilty of that. I was terrible. I would only address problems. But now I'm all about being preventive.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
working.
Yeah, well care as opposed to sick care for sure.
Yeah.
Um, that makes sense. I get that, and that's awesome. Yeah, the supplements are incredible, bioavailable. You know, I'm a big believer in supplements because our soil is so depleted and our diets are so processed that it's really impossible for us to consume the vitamins and minerals that we need. And then our genetics doom us in so many ways because our parents and our parents didn't eat that well, and that's ingrained in our DNA, and so some of us need more things than others. And so the doTERRA supplements are an excellent option because they are natural and bioavailable and not filled with fillers like a lot of vitamins and supplements over the shelf, over the counter are. So that's a good point. I didn't think to bring those up. All right, Miss Shelbi Lewis. If someone were starting to like, okay, I'm ready to talk about, whatever it is that is concerning them, how would they begin to even find a therapist that is a good fit for them?
Um, the first step to finding a good a therapist that's available in your area is one, Psychology Today is a good resource site. You can go on there, and it actually has like filters, so you can put depression, those who specialize in depression, adolescents. You can choose the different filters, and it'll narrow down the therapist. You can do it by area, by distance from your house. So I recommend getting on Psychology Today. It'll be the first start. Not every therapist has a Psychology Today profile. But that is one that's highly recommended, and that comes with a lot of good people in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go on Psychology Today, find a therapist that's good for you. When you walk in, just have a list of questions. I always recommend 1 to 5 questions.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in the field? What do you specialize in? What are your areas of weakness? This is what I'm dealing with. What kind of experience do you have working with individuals like me?
Mm-hmm.
And get a genuine response. Ask for a genuine response. Make sure it's not something that's just textbook or repeated that that they hear all the time. It's always just about the feel, and I searched around. I've had 2 to 3 therapists, and sometimes we just outgrow them. All of my therapists were great for that moment of life that I was in. Like I said, I first started off in grief therapy, and she was great. I mean, she really was really great. She was recommended by a coworker, but we outgrew each other. When I was kind of, I hate to say over grief, because you
Mm-hmm.
never really get over grief, but I was kind of tired of talking about it. I needed to shift to a different area in my life. I had to find another therapist
Mm-hmm.
that I felt that could relate to me, especially my first therapist was a Caucasian white woman. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Helped me through grief, was great. But when I got to where I was feeling angry and upset about what was going on in the Black community, I needed someone I felt could understand me on that level.
Yeah.
So I moved to a African-American woman
Mm-hmm.
who I felt understood more, knew more of me. So it's just more about what helps. I explained that to my first therapist. She understood. She promoted it. So I always felt comfortable wherever I was, just being me. So those are the things that you have to look for. What issues are you facing right now in your life? And can that person help you in that moment?
Excellent. Yeah, that's a great point, outgrowing. And I think it's the same way with like coaches and sometimes even, doctors. It just depends. You just have to find the right fit and then move on sometimes. And
Hmm.
it's good for both of you.
Right.
So how can people, if people are watching and they feel like they connect with you, Shelby, how can people reach out to you and see if maybe you have some open slots and they could talk to you about possible therapy?
Absolutely. So right now I am starting with adolescents ages 12 and up, so adolescents through adults. I am located at Oasis Mental Wellness in downtown Gulfport. The telephone number there is 228-456-3116. I do have some openings right now. Through the month of March, I'm on a limited schedule evenings, but in the month of April, I will be opening up a lot of daytime and maybe some possible weekend slots. So if you're available in the afternoons right now, then I'm there. So come see me. I'm in person and telehealth.
Yeah, telehealth is good. I know that obviously took off with COVID, and I have found it to be so much more convenient in so many ways. And it's not for everybody, but for those of you watching that are may not be in the area and you feel a connection with Shelby, then telehealth is also an option for her as well. So we will put, your contact info will be in the comments so that anyone can reach out to you in the way that you prefer. And Dr. Lenox, how can others reach out to you about essential oils?
So, I mean, you can Facebook message me, or if you're interested, put a comment under this when it airs. Um, and you can post my phone number. It's probably better to text me because if I see a number of somebody I don't know, a lot of times I just don't answer.
Especially
Um,
now.
and I'm bad about checking my email, so it's really better like texting or Facebook because I always have my phone. And or they can contact Romy too because she can help them.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for being here with me and talking with me. I definitely think that whoever has been watching is walking away with some really great information, hopefully feeling a little more motivated to take care of themselves in these ways. And so I appreciate both of you, and we'll have your information below so that anyone can reach out to you. And I hope that you ladies have an excellent evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me too. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ladies.
All right.